Alrighty, so the final game from this match week is in the books, and I basically had to watch the last game between the Whitecaps and the Dynamo and write the boards and also eat at the same time because I just want to get this uploaded as quick as possible because I do have to go to work tomorrow at 5:30 in the morning, and once I do finish this review and basically upload it on my channel, that's when it's pretty much lights out for me. So with that being said, let us actually begin by talking about these games, and we're gonna look at the first 8 games that is, and then tomorrow I'll look at the last 6 games, including the one that I went earlier today between San Diego versus the San Jose Earthquakes on Sunday Night Soccer. And let's just say, yeah, let's the Quakes basically did the opposite of what they did in the last game, and their playoff hopes seems like it's on life support right now. Speaking of playoff hopes, so one team that are trying to extend the playoff streak, which is the longest active in MLS, is the New York Red Bulls. But this season, it's in serious jeopardy. I mean, they're below the red line right now. They're coming into this game tied with Chicago, but Chicago does have a game in hand over them. I believe they do play against each other by the end of the season. But anyway, when you look at the playoff race right now in the East, it feels like it's a three horse race right now between eighth, ninth, and 10th place right now because the other teams that's below the Red Bulls, yeah, they really have no shot in terms of making the playoffs. That is, and since Charlotte has started to be on a crazy win streak, it seems like now that there's really just a 2 spot up for grabs for 3 teams, and the Red Bulls, of course, are one of those teams that is in the midst of this race. Now, the bad news for the Red Bulls is that they saw all the other team that they're fighting for playoff position all won this week. The good news for the New York Red Bulls, they finally overcome the boogeyman. In this game against the Philadelphia Union, it's been 7 years since they've beaten the Union in any competition. They've lost 17 straight game against the Philadelphia Union. Well, actually, that's isn't entirely true. I think there are some games where they, of course, got balls, but they've gone 17 game winless against the Philadelphia Union. That finally came to an end in this game. I mean, as I said in the preview, all things have to come to an end. All narrative, of course, has to come to an end, and you just kind of had a sense maybe this might be the time to do so. Especially the fact that the Union really didn't play their strong squad in this one. I think Bradley Carnell was hoping he might rotate some of his roster, and think that of course would be fine in this game, especially against a team that they have pretty much dominated for the last 7 years or so. And yeah, that was not the case. And also, let's just say that this game was kind of almost the opposite of what we saw in the U.S. Open Cup on Wednesday. Because when both of these teams play in the U.S. Open Cup on Wednesday, it was a very fun game to watch. It just feels like maybe both of those teams kind of burned out their energy because this was kind of a bit of a snot fest between both the Red Bulls and the Union. Now, early on, it didn't look like that way. I mean, it was very end to end to begin. It almost looked like we picked up where we left off in the U.S. Open, where both of these teams having some chances. Well, I say chances, but not really much chances by either team. It was just kind of end to end early action. Doing a foul for a penalty for the Red Bulls not given. The shots were 3-1 for the Red Bulls 20 minutes in. Blake would then had to be subbed off with a hamstring injury here. He been battling that injury throughout this season as well. So yeah, unfortunate for that. But good news for the Union, they do have a pretty good backup in Andrew Rick in there, and when Blake is injured, Rick has done a pretty good job in that role. I would even say he's right up there in terms of the top 5, in terms of the best backup goalkeeper in this league. In the 37th minute, Ely would blast one to Connecticut on the volley. The Red Bulls started to take over possession, but that's kind of something that won't be a good thing for the New York Red Bulls because this is a team that doesn't usually like to have possession, and this is kind of where it plays right into the Union wheelhouse. They're happy to sit back and defend because they know the Red Bulls struggle whenever they try to break teams down. Goma would then puts it wide from close to the 38th minute, but we do head to halftime scoreless between both of these teams. In the second half, Wagner would then put one back to Philly on the volley. Not much really happened in the second half either. Again, the Red Bulls, they continue to dominate possession, but that's kind of completely against their philosophy because they just cannot break teams down. And then a penalty was given to the Union, and Diamante was brought down by Parker in the 68th minute. Parker had a pretty good night in this one, but this is definitely not one of his greatest moments. So here comes Diamante, a chance to maybe score again from the spot here and maybe get himself going on the goal scoring chart. And that didn't happen because Cornell denied him from the spot here. It wasn't really a good penalty for Mane and I mean, Rowe. Just been that kind of season for Diamante there. I mean, he is just snake been throughout this season. He barely has got score a goal. And in fact, I don't even remember last time he scored an open play goal, let alone from the spot here. But yeah, he just cannot buy a goal in this moment. And this moment turns out to be big too, and turns out to be a big turning point because just 6 minutes after that penalty kick miss, or actually 5 minutes to be exact, in the 74th minute, the Red Bulls break through. It's Sean Nealis, unlikely source, scoring from Choupo-Moting to make it 1-0 in favor of the Red Bulls. So when's the last time we see a center back getting the score and it's assisted by an attacker? Usually it's the opposite way or something that we just don't see very often. But hey, the Red Bulls, they wouldn't care. They'll take it. They'll made it 1-0 and finally found a way to break through this Union's low block. Choupo-Moting then looked for another look to score on the score sheet himself, but he heads it wide there before Wagner puts it wide from long range. Sullivan would then had a shot that just goes over in the 7 minute of stoppage time. The Red Bulls were just hanging on for dear life as the Union were trying to press the get the tying goal. But in the end, like I said, for the first time since 2019, the New York Red Bulls have beaten the Philadelphia Union. They win 1-0 in this one. The shots in this one, 11 shots for the 8 that the Red Bulls had, 2 shots on goal for the 1 that the Union has, 4 shots off target for the 3 that the Red Bulls had, 2 shots on the block for the 5 that the Union has, and possession-wise, 54% possession compared to the 46% possession the Union has in this game. So, while I said before, the bad news for the Red Bulls is that the other team around them also got wins, so they didn't really make up any ground. In other words, if you want to maybe make it a more positive spin out of it, at least they keep pace with those teams. I mean, they didn't win this one, as it usually is the case when they faced against the Union. They would have fall even further from that deficit, but they do keep pace in that, put some pressure on those team above them to try to keep getting points, and if they slip up, they can get themselves above the red line. But for the Philadelphia Union, there's got to be a lot of concern with this team. I mean, this team hasn't really been playing well lately. They've been having a lot of trouble scoring goals. I mean, besides what we saw in the U.S. Open Cup, they've been scoring like one or two goals pretty much at best so far this season. And yeah, this lack of goal scoring is a big concern, especially this defense can only do so much and can carry this team so much. Is that if they don't have the goal scoring happen, especially when they head into the playoffs, and knowing that the East is an absolute bloodbath heading into the playoffs. I mean, you look at all the good teams in the Eastern Conference right now. I mean, they'll probably be looking at the Philadelphia Union and they'll be licking their chops and saying, "Yeah, that's a team that I think could be beatable," especially with the way that again the Union, they have not looked good in these last couple of games. Like if you can't beat against teams that you should win, how are they going to fare when they do face the likes of Inter Miami or Columbus or even FC Cincinnati of the world? That is. Now, moving on in terms of next match, and one team that I think could beat the Union right now if the playoffs started is Charlotte FC, because right now Charlotte is just red hot right now. I mean, remember when they were on an absolute free fall in the middle of the summer? It feels like has been long forgotten. I mean, this has been a really roller coaster ride of the season. This season kind of reminds me a little bit of Minnesota last season, where I remember Minnesota start off red hot and then they went on a 6 game losing streak because of all the guys were either injured or were missing due to international break. But then they finished the season strong, went on an incredible run of form, and it feels like Charlotte is doing the same thing. They're now find their form in the right place and took down an RSL team that, yeah, this will be disappointing for RSL, considering they miss an opportunity to get themselves back above the red line. Now, in the first half, there was no penalty that was given to RSL, though, as I said, they are also going to be very frustrated that this might be the second game in a row that they got screwed over because of refereeing decision. Because yeah, on this replay, it was deemed that well, at least VAR deemed that Ream did not handball this one. I don't know about that. I think that probably should have been a handball in my opinion. And especially what's kind of also interesting is that I think Rod Smith, the color commentator, he keep mentioning the fact that this is not a penalty, and I'm like, what are you watching, Ross? That's obviously a penalty. I mean, I don't care if he didn't meant to do that. When your hand is on an outstretched position, whether you mean it or not, that's usually called as a penalty. I mean, I've seen that call many times before, and yeah, I don't blame Pablo Mascherani being very upset about that. I have a feeling he probably went off in the post game conference because he's not afraid to mince words as well. And yeah, that should have been a penalty for RSL. And yeah, this is the second week in a row that RSL has been hosed because of questionable decision. You saw last week where they got hosed of the decision because Diego Luna, of course, got the second yellow when it was pretty clear that he wasn't the one that initiated the contact. It was actually Kyle Duncan, the one that initiate that. And because of the fact that eventually they did get the call right with Duncan getting the red card, but obviously they can't reverse the Diego Luna second yellow card because yeah, that was already been given. You can't overturn a second yellow card, and I believe you can also reverse a second yellow card. Well, actually, no. I think you could reverse a second yellow card. Though I'm very surprised the decision they didn't do so. But yeah, again, I can understand why RSL fans are very frustrated, and I can definitely understand why Pablo Mastroeni might be going off with the referee because these last couple of games, especially in a playoff race like that for RSL, the last thing they need is to have referee goals against them that really cripple their chances to sneak into the playoffs. Now, in the eighth minute, Kalina would deny Cruz from close range, just like the last away game. RSL actually started well in this one, and they were looking to get the opener. Vera would then puts it high from long range before in the 23rd minute, and this was the first shot of the game for Charlotte. It was the post getting in the way of Tucumani's shot, but then it falls to Carvin Vargas, and yeah, this is one that he would not want to look back. I mean, this is one that almost, how I've always say like when there's a bad miss, I always refer to the Romeo Kyoto miss that happened a couple of years in the game that Montreal of course played where he basically missed an empty net from 1 yards out, or you could maybe say the Choupo-Moting moment because Choupo-Moting also missed a bad one against PSG when Choupo-Moting of course was with or no yeah, yeah, when he was with PSG, that is. I was thinking about Bayern Munich. He was with Bayern for a bit, but when he made that bad miss, it was doing his time with PSG itself. But yeah, that feels like it's a combination of that moment. I mean, Vargas had an empty net there from 4 yards out. That is a classic example of it's harder to miss from that range than actually scoring, and that is one that Vargas will have nightmares about if Charlotte don't win this. The good news is he won't have nightmares because they would win this game. Ruiz would then puts it wide from long range in the 26th minute, but then the 35th minute, Tokamati has scored because again he is a guy that he probably have heard about the new signing that they're getting the number 9 spot, and he's saying nope, I'm gonna keep my spot. I'm just gonna keep scoring and make and force Dean Smith to change his mind of maybe bringing that new number 9 into this team because he scored again here from Westwood to make it 1-0 for Charlotte. It was a delicious ball delivered by Westwood. Tokamati, with him being so red hot these last couple of games, you knew he wasn't going to miss from that spot. And just like that, Charlotte leads 1-0, and that would be the scoreline heading into the second half. In the second half, Westwood tried to score himself, but he puts it high from long range. RSL had most of the possession, but they haven't really created too much chances because, the final third play was a big problem in this game. And, this has been a problem for RSL throughout the season. And I know RSL fans might be panicking already, the fact that the new signings are not really work out. Keep in mind, it does take a time for some of these new signings to get well. I do have a feeling some of these new signings would eventually work out. I mean, the real panicking stage is that maybe by the end of the season, if these new signing doesn't work out, then this feels like it's deja vu all over again from last season when they did made a lot signing to try to adjust that, and it didn't work whatsoever. But in the 59th minute, Cabral would deny Vargas from long range before Agata would hit it right to Kalina, and then he hits it. Said or he had a shot that was deflected in the 68th minute as RSL started creating some chances, and Charlotte they started to hold on for a bit. And if this was Charlotte during the losing streak, Charlotte probably would have lost this game. But because of the fact that Charlotte has done a much better job in terms of closing out games right now, this is the reason why they're on this winning streak because despite the fact that they were absorbing a lot of pressure, you just kind of had a sense maybe they will ride it out. Vargas would then puts it wide from the free kick. Also helps the fact that they were also still creating a couple of chances. Kalina would then deny. Oh god, I can't see. Is it? Oh yeah. He denied Gonzalez from close there. There was a huge shout for a penalty for Charlotte not given. Williamson then looked to finish it, but he flashed it wide before Agata would hit it right to Kalina. Cabral would then deny Williamson on the cross shot in the fourth minute stoppage time, and then Zaha was in on goal there in the fourth minute stoppage time, and you would have bet your house Zaha would have put that one in the back net, and you probably would have lost that house because he missed that. But luckily for Charlotte and luckily for Wilfred Zaha, that was really the last kick of the game. Because if that was not the last kick of the game, man, oh man, that moment is gonna come back to haunt Charlotte in a big way. I mean, I think Dean Smith will be a little frustrated at the fact that they didn't make it more comfortable. I think that's kind of the next step that he wants his team to do, and that is not to settle on 1-0 wins or 1 goal wins and try to sweat it out late in the game. But for now, they get their sixth win in a row. They're back to the form that they were in the beginning of the season, which is red hot right now. The shots in this one, 19 shots for the 12 that Charlotte had, 7 shots on goal for the 2 that Charlotte has, 4 shots off target for the 6 that Charlotte has, 4 shots on blocked for the 7 that RSL had, and possession-wise, 50% for both of these teams. And obviously, I know RSL fans will be very upset with that no penalty kick call, and I do think that it sucks the fact that as we get into the playoff race, this is the thing that I always worry about, where refereeing decision can really alter the playoff race and the playoff projectile. Just hope that that's not going to be the case with RSL. I mean, as frustrated as Pablo Mastroeni has to be, he's got to remind his guys that, hey, look, yes, the call didn't go our way, but we need to keep digging in. And one of the things that they also need to keep digging in is to actually know how to finish, because again, this has been the problem for RSL throughout this season, and they're really hoping that these new signings will actually fix it, because if it doesn't, oh boy, it could be like what it is for a majority of this season, and it maybe not be enough for them to sneak in to the playoffs and overcome that slow start they had in the beginning of the season. Now, moving on in terms of the next match is Miami and the Galaxy. So this took a while. I mean, for Miami, they definitely didn't make it easy on themselves in this one, especially with the way that the Galaxy actually put more resistance in this game that I thought that they need to. I mean, coming into this game, they were pretty much putting a second team. I knew they were going to punt this game away, but hey, they put some resistance in this one. But then, yeah, when the Magic Man comes, when the goat himself comes, yeah, that's when you know this game is over. Now, in the first half, there was a shout for a penalty for the Galaxy not given. Suarez with the games for a shot, but he missed wide before Mikovic would deny Pico from close range, as Miami was on the front foot, as you expected. They were pressing early for the lead. Mikovic would then absolutely rob Suarez from point blank from 6 yards out before Allende would head it wide from close range. The shots were 7-1 in favor of Inter Miami. I mean, Miami was just absolutely dominating this one, but the problem is no breakthrough because of the lack of finishing and Mikovic being a menace. Though in the 30th minute, they thought they got the lead when Segovia puts it into the back net. It was just a well worked goal there for Miami. How many times I've said that? Problem was, it didn't count because the flag came up for offside, and apparently this goal was disallowed because of offside, because Segovia himself on the beginning of the play drift himself in an offside position, and it was very, very close. I was kind of surprised that they overturned it, because again, there's always that narrative of Miami getting the call, and I think this is probably Inter Miami fans firing back at the casuals, saying, yeah, what were you saying about us getting all the calls? Because if that was the case, we probably would have got this call in our favorite. But yeah, again, this was a really close call. I feel like it could have gone either way. And again, if the narrative is true, then Miami probably would have got that call, but they didn't get the call here. It stayed 0-0 up to this point. Segovia would then try to score again, but he hits it right to Mikovic. But then in the 43rd minute, Jordi Alba would give Miami the lead. He scored from Busquets to make it 1-0 in favor of Inter Miami. You knew that was coming. I mean, the pressure that was absorbing for this Inter Miami team. It wasn't if Inter Miami was going to score the opener, it's when they're going to do so, especially with all the pressure that they put, and they finally did it right on the stroke of halftime, and they head to the second half of 1-0 lead. You're thinking, well, it's done, right? I mean, Miami probably is going to score two or three more in this one, right? Well, they also kind of just want to make sure, because they bought in the cavalry with DePaul and Messi being summoned in this one, and you're thinking again, this is done. I mean, they brought in the cavalry, they brought in their goat themselves. He's going to take care of business, right? And this game would be easy peasy for Miami, right? Well, in the 46th minute, Messi would puts it high from long range before Peck with a rare Galaxy chance, but he hits it right to his story. But instead, this is when the Galaxy really started to get into this game. And again, I was not expecting this. I didn't think the Galaxy was going to put up some resistance. I mean, nobody would have blamed them for not putting some resistance, because again, all their eggs in the basket is in the Leagues Cup on Wednesday. But they definitely put some more resistance and started to get more possession in the opponent half. in the last 5 minutes than pretty much the entire game that they have up to this point. Messi would then puts it high from long range, but then the 59th minute, the Galaxy ties it up. It's Joseph Painto. He scored to tie the game up at 1 points, and that was such a shocking goal that even the announcer didn't realize that went in. I mean, Steve Cangelosi, he didn't even know that went in until a couple of seconds. And to be fair, I think it was kind of in a angle where it's almost like kind of an illusion that it might have gone wide instead of it being go in, but nevertheless, I mean that was kind of a stunning equalizer and one that again nobody saw this coming because you would have thought that Miami would have been out of sight in this one, especially now that they're bringing some more starting power in this one. They're going to run away with this, but instead the game was tied up at one apiece. Suarez did look to answer, but he missed wide before Falcon puts one into the stands as Miami kind of started to pick up the pressure again. They were pressing to get the lead back. Mikovic would deny Suarez in the near post before DePaul had a shot that was deflected and goes wide. Alba would then puts it into the stands on the volley. Miami continued to press for the lead, but is this kind of one of those nights? Maybe their lack of finishing is going to cost them 2 points in this one. Well, Mikovic would then deny Rodriguez from long range, but then in the 83rd minute, when all things fail, we can always count on the GOAT himself because he scored from DePaul to make it 2-1 in favor of Inter Miami. Just a vintage Messi goal. I mean, you know he is a magician when it comes to long range shot, and I'm pretty sure the Galaxy probably knew that, but they still couldn't stop him there. So yeah, that made it 2-1 up to this point, and just to be sure, 6 minutes later, Suarez would score from Messi to make it 3-1 in favor of Inter Miami, and that would be the final score in this game. So, it took a while for Miami to finally get their goal scoring prowess going, and it probably took longer than they should be. But hey, a win is a win in this one. And when you look at the stats, I mean, they absolutely dominate the set. 28 shots compared to 5 that the Galaxy had. 3 shots on goal for the 8 that Miami has. 8 shots off target for the none that the Galaxy had. 2 shots that was blocked for the 11 that Miami has. And possession-wise, 53% possession compared to the 47% possession that Miami has in this game. And for the Galaxy again, they know this season is over. All their focus is definitely on the game in the middle of the week, and we'll see whether or not if they can win that game against Pachuca because really that's the season for them. If they don't win that one, they might as well just kind of pack the bags and say that yep, we're pretty much done because they're actually I think they're getting pretty close to getting eliminated as well. In fact, we're getting to a point where some teams are getting pretty close to getting eliminated, which means it's time to begin doing the moving forward series of this 2025 season. It's hard to believe that we're already at that point, but hey, I mean, some of these teams they're doing so bad this season, especially in the East. I think, as I'll mention, there's 2 teams that are actually up for elimination heading into next week as well. Now, moving on in terms of the next match. So you think one of those 2 teams was Toronto, but no, Toronto is actually not one of the teams that is up for elimination. In fact, Toronto again. This is the thing I've said about TFC, and when you face against the TFC side, they're no longer a team that I said in the beginning of the season they're like the Santa Claus of MLS, where they're just gifting free points for free every single week because they're a punching bag. This is a team that ever since they got rid of the Albatross contract of Benedeski and Insigne, and ever since Robin Fraser has really started to show why he's a very underrated head coach in MLS right now, putting the grit on this team. This is a team that has shown a lot of grit and a team that has also been an absolute nightmare to face against because most opponent I think have really overlooked this TFC side. Yes, the talent is definitely not there when you look at this team. Though the signing of Georgi Mihailovic might change that. And speaking of which, he definitely made a big impact in this game as well. But again, I think it's time for teams, even near the top of the standings, to really know that when they do face against Toronto, they don't take this team lightly. And especially one thing you have to do against Toronto, and I said this in the last game as well. You have to put away your chances against TFC. You cannot leave them still hanging around because if you leave them hanging around, they're gonna find that equalizer and eventually they're gonna salvage themselves a point because that's what this team has done for the past couple of weeks and really for the past couple months ever since they got rid of those 2 Italians. Now in the first half, the first shot of the game, see Aliu hits it right to Johnson, but then in the 8th minute, Rossi would score. So he scored to make it 1-0 in favor of Columbus. You're thinking, well, Columbus got good early lead. Now can they get that second one? Well, Rossi did try to do so in the 22nd minute, but he hits that one wide. It was all Columbus early on with the possession and the chances. Though in the 27th minute, Johnson would deny Herrera from close range. The shots were now 5-1 for Columbus. Again, it was all Columbus up to this point. It was pretty much all Columbus in the first half as well. TFC really didn't have a sniff in this one until late in the half, where in the 45th minute, Kerr hits a strike to Schulte, as that was a rare TFC chance up to this point, but we head to halftime with Columbus leading 1-0 against Toronto, and in the second half, this is when the game started to turn into Toronto's favorite because, like I said, you don't put away this Toronto team when they find a way to get back in the game. Yeah, it's pretty much uh-oh if you're the opposition side. Kerr would be in on goal there, but he missed the target in the 52nd minute. Yeah, that is one that DeAndre Kerr would want the half back. But you said that it was much better start for TFC heading into the second half. They're now trying to push for the equalizer. Though as I said that, Johnson had to deny Gastek in the near post, and then he denied Rossi from the curler. By the way, Sean Johnson making his return in this one. Like he didn't skip a beat whatsoever. He was solid throughout this game. Columbus, of course, was looking for the second, but the question is, can they do so before TFC will find that one match moment? The answer is a big no, because in the 77th minute, the new signing, Drew Anthony Versen, scoring from Mihajlovic to tie the game up at one apiece. It's the first for Vysen in a Toronto shirt. It's also the first assist for Mihajlovic, something that we might be seeing a lot throughout the end of this year and even heading into next year as well. I mean, he is such a big signing for this TFC side. He's gonna bring a lot of injection in terms of this deep rebuild that this team is going through. Gastak, though, in the 79th minute, thought that he got the lead back for Columbus, but this is Daniel Gastak we're talking about. He has had no luck in front of goal, and even when he does put the ball in the back net, Vieira says that he was in an offside position. So yeah, that's just sounds about right for Daniel Gastak. He's just completely snake bit ever since he donned the black and gold. Horrible. Nay would then hits it right to Johnson in the 85th minute as Columbus was pressing late to try get the winner. Toronto was kind of holding on for a point. Johnson would deny oh god, what do this one? Okay, actually this is kind of bad. Oh, he denied Gastak from close. I couldn't read my handwriting for a second. Again, I wrote this while I was eating and also watching the Vancouver game as well. So my handwriting wasn't the best up to this point, but yeah, in the end, TFC did it again. They hold one of the top contender in the East to a 1-1 draw like they did against the Union in the last game. The shots in this one, 12 shots committed, 8 that TFC had, 3 shots on goal compared to 7 that Columbus had, 2 shots off target with a 1 that Toronto has, 2 shots that was blocked with a 3 that Columbus had, and possession was 58% possession compared to 42% possession that Toronto has in this one. And by the way, for Columbus, their hope to maybe trying to get the supporter shield this season, yeah, it's all but gone right now. I mean, you can't drop points to teams that you should be able to beat if you're still contending to that. And I think the other big concern you gotta say with Wilfred Nancy's side, and this is kind of still the concern throughout this season, and hopefully, their new signing Abu Ali might solve this big issue. The goal scoring thing is still a bit of a problem, and just finding that replacement for Cucho Hernandez, they still haven't found it whatsoever. And again, they're hoping that Abu Ali might be the answer to that, but we'll see whether or not if he can get things going straight away. He's getting pretty close in terms of getting to make his debut. Obviously, his debut has been delayed because his visa process is definitely very long, and I'll just say that it has something to do with the country that he's from, and I'll just leave it at that because I can get very quickly sidetracked to one part of the category that I definitely would not want to talk about on this channel, and you know what I'm about, what that is, without me saying it. But either way, now moving on, and now switching the board as well. In fact, let me just do it manually because why not? I don't think I have time. Just basically just kind of stop the video and then pretty much put it into my editing software to basically split it into two videos like I usually do when I stop the board, or not stop the board, but stop the video to change the board that is. And now hopefully the video is still pretty good. Yeah, looks like it didn't. The board is still sort of readable, and it didn't started to lost its focus there. But anyway, moving on into the next game is New England and LAFC. So LAFC, of course, after the last game where they didn't get the 3 points that they do against an Eastern Conference team, this time they're able to do so. Though, New England definitely put up a fight in this one, and this was just kind of one of those classic games where the one team would be more clinical in front of goal when they're given the chance. The other were also given the same amount of chances, but weren't being clinical in front of goal, and that's pretty much the difference in this one. Now, in the first half, not much really happened early in this game. Lloris would deny Campana, as that was the game's first shot. That also came out of a WTF turnover from LAFC as well. Something you don't usually see with LAFC, but that is one that they got away with it. Lloris would then deny Ganago on the front post. New England, I thought, started the better side of this one, and now they were pressing for the opener. Though in the 27th minute, Sung would put it wide from close range. By the way, Sung Min, of course, getting his first start in this one, and spoiler, right? He would also get his first assist in this game as well. Pana would then puts it over from long range on the curler. By the way, Sung really tried hard in this game to get a goal in this one. I mean, I know he wouldn't have made it in the full scheme in press conference, but you can tell that with the way that he was shooting in this one to sort of creating chances. He really wants to score in his very first start and get that monkey off the back. Martinez would then puts it high from long range before Bawanga would puts it wide from long range in the 47th minute. Much better start for LAFC heading into the second half. It was kind of a bit of a slow start in the first half, and now they're looking to try to get the opener. Song would puts it just wide from long range in the 50th minute, but then in the 51st minute, LAFC gets the lead. It's Delgado that gets the lead for LAFC, and yeah, it just comes off of a bad turnover from New England in the midfield. And when you do that against LAFC, more times than not, you're going to get punished. They got punished here, and just like that, LAFC takes the 1-0 lead. Martinez did look for a second, but he puts it over. LAFC have completely took control of this game and now have the momentum to get the second. But Campana would puts it wide from long range in the 63rd minute before Martinez would hit it right to Turner. Heel would then have a one hopper right to Lloris, as both of these teams now started to exchange possession or exchange chances. But now the question is, who can get that next crucial goal? Well, Sung tried to do so on the free kick, but he hits it right to Turner before Beeson would hit it right to Lloris in the 85th minute. Lloris then denied Shankalai in the front post. New England now was pressing hard to try to get that equalizer. And again, when you of course only have a one goal lead, and as I'll mention in some of these other games that I'll talk about, especially tomorrow as well. One goal lead heading into the latter part of the game, no matter if you're the home team or the road team, it's never a comfortable feeling. And I've seen many times where teams unable to close out of it, especially when their opposition is putting a lot of pressure. Ordaz would then hits it right to Turner in the first minute stoppage time before he absolutely robbed Sung of his first career goal from point blank range. Like I'm pretty sure Sung Min probably must be staring out the heavens of thinking, how in the world did he not score his first career MLS goal with the way that 99 out of 100 time when Son gets in that position, he puts it into the back net. But he was also facing the U.S. international goalkeeper Matt Turner, who I think after this game, and really now that he's gonna get more game time with New England compared to where he was in Europe, he might play himself right back in the conversation of being the goalkeeper for the U.S. in the World Cup next year. But there was no doubt that LAFC were now looking to shut the door to try to preserve the 3 points, especially looking on the transition as they usually do, and they do that in the ninth minute of stoppage time as Matthew Shrinier would score his first for LAFC from Song and Ordaz to make it 2-0 in favor of LAFC. And I said about Song really pressing to try to get that opening goal. Well, this kind of moment might defeat what I was saying because he could have easily just scored this one. I mean, he could have easily just decided to take it into a matter of his own hand and maybe make it 2-0 and have the headlines. But good on Sung here. He saw the better option to play it right to Shinier, and yeah, that was pretty much a tap in that Shinier has. He made no mistake of it, and yeah, that pretty much wrapped up all 3 points for LAFC in this one, as the shots in this one was still a pretty even game. I mean, when you look at the scoreline, you didn't think that is the case, but when you look at the stats and how this game played, it was kind of even. 12 shots committed, 11 that New England has, 5 shots on goal for the 6 that LAFC had. 5 shots off target for the 2 that New England has, 3 shots was blocked for the 1 that LAFC had, and possession-wise, 54% possession compared to 46% possession that LAFC has in this game. And as long as if LAFC continue to win, especially as we head into September and October, which is usually when they get hot, this is bad news for the rest of the Western Conference. And like I said, the signing of Son, he is going to be a big difference for this team. They need a guy that really can take the load off of Bawanga, because Bawanga has really kind of carried this team throughout the season. Sung Min is definitely the answer, because you can clearly see that he has been a huge difference maker, and you can also see how I didn't mention Bawanga name too much in this one. Well, that was because Sung really kind of took that low off of him, and he's been the guy to do so. And now when you face against LAFC, I mean, I know before you're just thinking, well, all we need to do is slow down Bawanga, and we have a shot in terms of winning this game. Now that's not the case, because you got the South Korean kid that let's just say that he's a legend in the game, and he's definitely can burn you multiple ways. So now it gets even more tricky when you face against LAFC, where it's not just one man you gotta stop. You gotta stop two world class in a player, and more times or not, it's hard to do so unless your team is also in the race to contend for MLS Cup out of the West, which I think there are still some teams that could do so. I mean, the West, I feel like it still could be wide open, but ultimately, I would not be surprised if LAFC will end up be that team representing the West in MLS Cup, and I don't think that's going to satisfy a lot of teams in the Western Conference, especially LAFC has been representing the West for a bit. In fact, I'm pretty sure anyone want to see a different team that is not coming from LA or in the Cascadia region to represent the West out of MLS Cup, because I think not since what, it's been a long time since I remember that a team that is not from LA or the Cascadia region representing the West. Maybe not gone back all the way back to like 2012 or 11, something like that. Either way, it's been a long time. That's all I have to say. Now, moving on in terms of the next match is Montreal and DC. And yes, we have to talk about this game, even though I know no one wa- really care about this game. It's between two bottom feeders. That these are actually the two teams that could be up for elimination heading into next week. And if one of these teams gets eliminated, boy, I'm excited to kind of talk about the moving forward series about them, and unfortunately talk about the grim future that both of these team is in, because both of these teams, there's one thing that they can all agree on besides getting a draw out of this, is that both of these teams has a pretty grim future heading in, and a big part of it is because of the bad ownership that both of these teams has. Now in the first half, McNulton would heads it wide from close, and that was the first shot before Barraza denied Owusu, and that was Montreal's first shot. And believe it or not, it was actually a pretty lively start to this game. Again, I told you, not every wooden spoon derby or battle between the two worst team in the specific conference is always going to be a boring 0-0 draw. Gillier would then deny Benteke on a 1v1, but then in the 28th minute, DC would score the opener. It's Jackson Hopkins. He scored from Slovenia to make it 1-0 in favor of DC. Entley would try to make it 2, but he missed wide from close range. The momentum was definitely with DC as they were looking to try to get another. However, Sunchek would cross it wide from long range, but then in the 41st minute, Montreal ties the game up. It's Petraslo. He scored from Owusu to tie the game up at 1 apiece. It comes off a bad giveaway from DC as well. Yeah, I knew that heading into this game, if there was going to be a goal in this one, it's probably because of mistakes and bad turnovers. And there you go. There's the bad turnover that I thought was going to happen. Petrasso then looked for another and looked for the lead for Montreal, but he puts it all over in the 45th minute. But we do head to halftime with the score tied up at 1 apiece. And up to this point, I think every fans will be happy with this game, because again, I wouldn't blame it. Everybody would have bet to say that there's no goals in this one, but already there's already some goals, and there's already some good action, even though I and many people didn't think that that was the case. In the second half, Schlegg would hits the side netting in the front, or on the free kick before Sunfek puts it high from close range, just like the first half. Both of these teams exchanging some chances. Leteri would hit it right to Baraza before Schlegg would puts it over from long range. Owusu and then miss wide from close range, but then on the other end, Stroud would puts it over from long range in the 85th minute. Both of these teams were exchanging some chances. This game was definitely on a knife edge, up for grabs. Question is, who can get that 3 points? Patola tried to do so, but he blasts one to Quebec City. In fact, that was the full time whistle sounded. So I kind of it's kind of fitting a long range effort that pretty much go nowhere near goal would be the full time whistle after that was taken in this wooden spoon derby in the Eastern Conference. But because in the end it ends in a 1-1 draw in this one. The shots in this one, 16 shots for the 9 that Montreal has. Again, a lot of shots in this one. I thought people were thinking that both of these teams wouldn't even reach the 10 shot mark, but DC reached it. 3 shots on goal for both of these teams. 4 shots off target with the 7 that DC had. 6 shots that was blocked for the 2 that Montreal has. And possession wise, 55% possession compared to 45% possession that DC has in this game. And like I said, it's hard to believe, but both of these teams are going to be up for elimination next week, and that might be one of the earliest we've seen a team getting eliminated. Usually September is kind of the time when we see some of the bad team get eliminated. But because when you look at how the East is and how there's just a couple of really bad team in the bottom of the standings, they're so far away from the playoff race that yeah, it's hard to believe that I'm about to make a moving forward series in August. That's probably the earliest I've start making a moving forward series and doing recaps of each team season when they got eliminated. Since I started covering MLS on this channel. Now, moving on in terms of the next match is Minnesota and Seattle. So Minnesota, for the first time in club history, they did the double against the Seattle Sounders. I never would have thought that would ever happen. I mean, I was already happy the fact that Minnesota got one against Seattle because prior to them beating Seattle earlier this year at Lumen Field, which never happened then before, they've only won once against the Seattle Sounders. They already doubled the mark in this season as well. And I gotta say, this game, it feels like this was kind of the complete opposite of what I've seen with Minnesota game in the last 2 games, where I've been very frustrated with the Loons the last couple of games because of the fact that it's not because they've been playing bad. They've actually been playing pretty good in these last couple of games, but they just show that lack of finishing and couldn't score, and also kind of fall asleep at the wheel on the defensive end at a couple of times that caused them points as well. But in this game, it was kind of the complete opposite. It was a game where they barely created anything, and it was a very frustrating game to play. I mean, I was kind of expected because, like I said, I had no expectation coming into this game. I was expecting this team to lose against a Seattle team that is just an absolute wagon right now. And yes, I know Seattle did rest some of their players, and maybe Sounders fan will say, well, this is not as impressive because we rested some of our players. But keep in mind, Seattle this season, it doesn't matter if they rest their players or not. This is a team that a lot of people are saying that this is the deepest team in the league, and I do truly believe that's the case. I mean, when you look at some of the resort that they have shown, even going to the Leagues Cup, even some of their bench players are getting points and getting goals of this team. So it's no easy feat, even if you're facing against a much weaker Seattle team. And in this one, I mean, I gotta say, it's almost a miracle the fact that Minnesota was able to pull off the win in this one, especially how they try to close out in this game. I mean, man, it was just once again, I'm just pulling my hair out every time I see this team giving up possession so easily and let Seattle just kind of go at them. Because how many times I've said that Rohithmo, more times or not, is not gonna work, and they tried to do Rohithmo again late in this one, and it is almost a miracle the fact that this is one of the few times when they try to do Rohithmo late in the game and they walk out with victory. Now, in the first half, 2 minutes in, the first shot of the game did see Romero puts it wide from the corner. As expected, Seattle had most of the possession, while Minnesota, they were happy to sit back and look to try to get the break. If there's one thing I will say that might be in the favor of Minnesota in this one compared to the last couple of teams that they faced, at least they don't have to worry about having most of the possession. Seattle is a team that likes to have possession, and they tends to want to keep that in their identity. So in some way, I'm kind of happy at least for once. That's gonna play right into the wheelhouse of Minnesota, right? Well, the problem is they didn't really do much on the transition whatsoever, and this is also kind of alarming. The fact that with the bread and butter that they've been using in this season is the reason why they've got to the spot that they are right now. It's all of a sudden stopped working, and that maybe is a concern down the line as well, especially with the way that, yes, I know they're pretty high up in the standings, but they are looking more like pretenders the day. that goes by with some of these resources that somehow they got away with. Harvey would then puts one right to Fry in the 8th minute. De Rosario then heads it over as that was the Sounders' first shot. The shots were 2-1 early for Minnesota up to this point. Rodon would then hits one right to Dane Sinclair, and then De Rosario had an empty net here. But he puts this one high. And De Rosario, he's been in pretty good form lately as well. And this is one that I mean he would definitely want to have back. And I think Dane Sinclair got bailed out too because he came off his lines here, didn't really do it very well. He let a gaping being empty net for De Rosario to score, and lucky for him, De Rosario couldn't finish it. In the 29th minute, Romero just flashed it wide from long range. It's hard to believe that early in this game your center back is basically the most dangerous man on the attack. That just kind of sums up how bad the attack was for the Loons in the beginning of the game and pretty much throughout this game as well. Yoboa would then hits it right to Fry. Minnesota did start to generate some pressure and trying to get the opener. Yamar would then head it wide from the corner before Rosales would puts it wide from close range. But we do head to halftime scoreless between both of these teams. By the way, if it wasn't kind of right near the end in this one. This was a really boring game, and not to mention this game was also on FS1, and I'm thinking, yeah, no wonder why I know this game is boring. Anytime when a game is on FS1 and it's especially played at Allianz Field, it's going to be an absolute war fest because that's just kind of how the rule is. In the second half, Di Rosario would then heads it high from close range. Once again, that was another great opportunity for Di Rosario, and ones that again with how hot he's been in, he's probably should have beat that one. And once again, Dane Sinclair was at fault for this one. He came off his lines here, didn't get to it, and he got very lucky that he got bailed out for it. I mean, Dane Sinclair did redeem himself late in this one, but he was very shaky in the beginning of this game. Though the shots were 7-6 for Seattle up to this point, but only 3 shots on target combined for both of these teams. Ole Shai would then scuffs a shot that goes wide. Yeah, this was not a great night for either of those number 9. And I know many Loons fans have been demanding Ramsey to drop the two striker system, and I agree with them. This two striker system is not working whatsoever. And by the way, speaking of Tani, there's now report that he could be going to Europe, which it's great that he of course is moving to Europe because I think he's gotten to a point where I don't think we have a lot of time left with Tani, knowing how good he's been with this team and now breaking into the national team as well. It feels like his next move is going to be to Europe, but I'm just praying to death that they don't lose him by this summer transfer window because if they lose him, and the fact that this team still haven't made a single signing, I don't blame a lot of Loons fan, including myself, being very concerned about this team, even where they are in the standings right now. And you can also call me being negative all the time and being hard on the Loons all the time. I'm just saying the reality that you look at this team and the way that they've been playing throughout the season. I can understand why people don't give this team too much respect, and maybe the media doesn't get too much respect because there's been times where they've been getting away with resort that they have no business of getting away with, and this was a classic example of that game as well. But yeah, I also said the attack seems to sums up the Loons' attack after Ashari missed that chances. The Sounders definitely started to bring in the cavalry as De La Vega and Wiswaski came into this one, and this is when I'm thinking, yep, this is when Minnesota is probably going to give up the goal because Seattle really started to put up their starters. But instead, in the 71st minute, Joaquin Pereira would score, and this was one where it was pretty much a shot cross here. I mean, Stephen Fry, he would want to have this back, and probably he also would not want to look back at that moment because Stephen Fry has always been very good when it comes to dealing with crosses coming in. But this one, he just inexplicably stay on his lines there, and that was a wrong decision because of that, it kind of go by everybody, and eventually it goes into the back of the net. So yeah, that made it 1-0 in favor of Minnesota. That kind of surprised me, thinking, no way they're gonna pull this off, right? In the 78th minute, Muswaski would head it wide from close. The Loons were doing road heave mo again, and I mean, road, yeah, this is not gonna work. I'm getting to a point where not only I was nervous, but I'm just thinking, when are they gonna give up this goal? Like, when is the heartbreaking moment happening again? Dane Sinclair would then deny Rodon, but on the second phase of play, knew who would head it wide. Yamar would then had a shot that was clear off the line. In fact, this I thought was the moment where they give up the goal, but somehow in some way, Carlos Harvey was able to save this one off the line, and this was more lucky than heroic because Harvey was actually on the ground even before Yamar shoot it. He just kind of in the right place in the right time to block this shot away. But you just kind of had a sense Seattle was throwing all the kitchen sink at this Minnesota team. This Minnesota team was doing once again the biggest thing that really pissed me off about this team, which is unable to hold on to possession, keep giving the ball away to the other team, keep letting the other team go at them until they give up the goal. And yeah, that kind of continued into stoppage time as well. If it wasn't for Dane Sinclair making a couple of big saves, first denying Neymar in the back post, and then denying De La Vega from long range in the 6 minute of stoppage time. But yeah, in the end, I don't know how, but Minnesota has did the double against the Seattle Sounder. They win 1-0 in this one, and because Vancouver dropped points, they're actually now up to second, one of the highest that they've been in the standing so far this year. Shots in this one, 10 shots for the 16 that Seattle has, 4 shots on goal for the 3 that Minnesota has, 4 shots off target for the 7 that the Sounders had, 4 shots on blocked for the 3 that Minnesota has, and possession-wise, 35% possession compared to 65% possession that Seattle has in this one. And normally, like I said, I would be very excited about this. This feels like almost a dream come true, seeing that somehow in some way Minnesota is able to do the double against their boogeyman known as the Seattle Sounders. But like I said, there is a lot of concern with this team. This is kind of a resort that they may get away with this one, and they might got very fortunate to do that. But I guarantee you, if this game was being replayed, or if we see these kind of resort happen the next 3 times, Minnesota probably is not going to get away with one of these. How many times I've said that I'm just tired of seeing Rohit moan and seeing this team just hang on for dear life to get points. And I know there's always that classic narrative of this team never make it easy on myself and certainly their fans, but it shouldn't be that way. And this is also where the signings needs to happen, especially like I said, the tiny sell. If it does happen, great for him. But where in the world is the signing going to be? Because if there's no signing in this team, it doesn't matter where they finish this season standing. I don't think I'm gonna change my thought process of this team. I think they're gonna make the playoffs, but I would not be surprised if they get knocked out in the first round or even in the second round as well. Well, I really think that this team. I mean, I don't want to use the word frauds to label on this team. I think that might be a little too harsh on my team on that part, but they're kind of almost in that pretender category where I don't think this team is as good as what people think they are, and I would not be surprised that if they try this strategy in the playoffs again, yeah, they're not gonna win a lot of playoff game or go deep into the playoffs. The bottom line is they need signings. Like I'm just praying for the front office to do something, and it's not just me that's praying for this. It's getting to the point where Eric Ramsey is kind of praying for this as well. When you have a head coach that is praying for your front office to make some signing or actually openly said that he's very frustrated about it, you know how desperate things have gone with the way that this team has, and yet like I said, despite all the negative energy that is going on, somehow in some way this team is still in second and still having the best season that they have ever had in their franchise history. Now, moving on in terms of the next game. After again, I'm sorry, guys. I know people are gonna be mad in the comment section about me being very negative about Minnesota, and especially they might even call me a fake fan for going them too hard on it. But again, I'm just trying to see the reality of the situation as well. And again, if you know anything about Minnesota sports, not just in soccer, but just in general, any Minnesota sports, you would always be teach that you shouldn't be relying on hopium and optimism because optimism will always be crushed when it comes to Minnesota sports. But anyway, moving on into the next one, we got Orlando versus Sporting KC. So this game actually had a long delay. In fact, there was actually 2 games that had a long weather delay. I decided to put this game on because why not? This is the last 4:30 game that was supposed to start. I don't want to put it in a separate category. But yeah, this game had an epic long delay. In fact, this is probably the longest delay we have had this season where a game still kicked off. This game kicked off at 10:37, or no, I'm sorry, 10:42 p.m. This game actually kicked off even later than the Portland versus Cincinnati game that was kicking off, that is. But by the time the game finally did kick off, it did not take long for us to finally see the first goal of this game, as in the second minute of stoppage time, Tyree Spicer would score to make it 1-0 in favor of Orlando. And yeah, that was the game's first shot as well, and the first for Orlando there for Tyree Spicer. So talk about an instant impact for your new club. So yeah, just like that, it was 1-0 in favor of Orlando. Jovic did look to answer, but he puts it high before Suleimanov puts it wide from long range in the 13 minutes. Sport KC was definitely getting some good half chances as they were looking to try to get the equalizer. Toy was then in on goal there, but he missed one in the 20th minute. And then Galese would deny Toy from long range in the 23rd minute. And yeah, Sporting KC, I gotta say, they have fought hard up to this point. Like any teams, especially a bad team like Sporting KC is this season, any teams will just kind of crumble after giving up an early goal. But Sporting KC does a good job at least hanging in there, and now they were pressing hard to try to get the equalizer. And they finally rewarded with that in the 25th minute as Jovic would score from Toy to make it 1-1 in this one. I think Jovic kind of stole this goal from Mason Toy because I think this one was going to go in. But again, for a number 9 like that, you know he's not going to pass up on it. So yeah, that ties the game up at 1 apiece. I don't think it should be surprising to everybody because Sporting KC was by far the better team. Besides giving up the early goal in this one. And then the 38th minute for Holson almost scored an own goal here as he puts it onto the roof of the net. And then Basson would hits it high from the corner, and all of a sudden, again, it's been all Sporting. I mean, besides the first 2 minutes in this one where Orlando scored the opening goal, they have looked nothing like a team that beat Miami 4-1. And this is what I said before, where, after such an emotional win that Orlando has, and I know a lot of people have already gave a lot of praise to Orlando City, but the problem is that how are you going to look heading into the next one? Because I've said this many times before, and we see this happen a lot with many teams. Whenever a team have a big emotional win in the previous game, even if it's a week long kind of period until the next one, there's always going to be a down period. There's going to be a huge let down heading into the next game because you're facing a much more inferior opponent, and I think we clearly saw that letdown in this one. It also doesn't help the fact that there was like a 3.5 hour delay because, like I said, Orlando just they look nothing like the team that beat Miami 4-1. They were sleepwalking after scoring the first goal. Suleimanov would then cross it wide from close range before Ojeda flicks one over the wall in the 42nd minute. But then Paslic had a long range effort that just goes high, and it feels like all of a sudden, I think Austin Pereira almost remind his team that, hey, I mean, we're the same. We should be still playing this same way that we beat Miami 4-1, right? Because yeah, they look like they fire their engine again, and now they were looking to try to get the lead again. Montreal would then puts it high from close range, but we do head to halftime with the score tied up at 1 apiece. In the second half, Orlando continued the pressure. Ojeda would then scuff one wide from close range. There was a shout for a penalty for Orlando not given. Orlando again was looking to be on the front foot and looking to try to get the opener. But I thought as the half goes along, Sporting I thought did a good job in terms of at least surviving the original pressure because again Orlando was putting a lot of pressure, unable to get that second goal. Though that pressure ramped up again in the 64th minute when post game denied Paslich from close before Shawi for a rare opportunity for Sporting KC in the second half, but was denied by Galese. But then the 76th minute, Orlando gets the lead back. It's Enrique. He scored from Ojeda to make it 2-1 in favor of Orlando City. And then just a couple of minutes later, Rodriguez would score his first goal for Orlando City, and this is Nico Rodriguez that is, and it actually took a fortunate deflection right to him, but he wouldn't care. That this has been a moment that he's been waiting for a very long time to happen, and yeah, he scored his first career MLS goal to make it 3-1 up to this point. Angulo then looked to make it 4-1, but he missed one in the 85th minute. But yeah, in the end, Orlando, while it wasn't pretty throughout this game, they were able to pull out to a 3-1 win. It's almost like they kind of did the exact same thing that Inter Miami did, where they didn't really look that impressive for majority of the game, but then they just kind of hit the afterburner in the second half and eventually walk away with the same scoreline as the Inter Miami and Galaxy game. The shots in this one, 19 shots for 11 that Sporting KC had, 4 shots on goal for the 7 that Orlando City has, 5 shots off target for the 6 that Sporting KC had, 1 shot that was blocked for the 5 that Orlando has, and possession-wise, 55% possession compared to the 45% possession that Sporting KC has in this game. And yeah, for SKC, I think they're done. I think I mentioned heading into this game, they were in the wrong, heading to the wrong direction, getting pretty close to that point where you can maybe stick a knife on their season. And I think after this game, you probably could say the same thing. I mean, they're just. I think they're far enough where you could say that there's probably no coming back for them, and let the rebuild begin with this team, especially this offseason they're gonna have to make some difficult decision, and not to mention also maybe getting a new head coach as well. This is going to be interesting to see, and I can't wait to also talk about Sporting KC in terms of the moving forward series because again, I think that it is pretty clear that this team may be going through a bit of a rebuild or maybe even a retool, depending on how you look at it, and especially the future is going to be interesting. It's going to be something that Sporting KC fans have never experienced, or at least a long time Sporting. Some of the newer Sporting KC fans haven't experienced in 15 plus years is that once they do hire their first head coach since Peter Remise took over in 2009, what is this team going to look like? And is this club going to not look like what we see before, where they might not end up in the same problem that DC has, where how DC had Ben Olsen for so long, and then after they fire him, they went on through a revolving door of head coaches, and they're in even a worse position that they were in once they fired Ben Olsen. Sporting KC fans does not want to see that happen. And we'll see whether or not if that's going to be the case, or if this front office make the right decision, make the right moves to begin this rebuild. That maybe the Sporting KC side, that again, I think the defense is what they really need some reinforcement. Maybe the midfield as well, because the attack I think is very good, and I think this core that they have, I really like it, and could be getting themselves back to contending stage as long as they fix the defense, and that's not easy set to be done considering this defense hasn't been very good for a while now. But there you have it. That is pretty much it when it comes to the review. A bit longer than I anticipated, but tomorrow we are going to look at the last six game, including the game that I went about a couple of hours ago. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.